Since I wasn't in class today, I figured you would enjoy or appreciate me doing the problems for you guys. Now, please check my calculations because I was doing this really fast to try and get it done before Landon started crying and screaming. So my numbers might be off, like my aunt, like that last problem. So just pause me, double check, and don't be surprised if maybe I missed a number or something like that and you got a different number. Hopefully I didn't do that, but I'll just proceed this video by saying that. Okay, so the first one should be fairly basic. All you guys need to do is that outside times the whole line. So I'll start with the x one right here. So x times x, or x squared, equals the whole line, which ends up being 5, the outside piece, times the whole thing, which I'm looking at mine right now and I know that I did it wrong, so I'm just going to go ahead and fix that right now. And you guys might have to do my calculation because I don't have a calculator on me. So I'm going to leave this problem like that because I can look at it right now and see that it was wrong. Add the 17 and the 5 together because remember it's the whole line. So that gives you 22. Okay, so when you multiply these two together, 5 times, I did 17 times 5 instead of 5 times 22. So make sure you multiply those two together and then square root. And I don't know what that is off the top of my head, so I will leave you guys with doing that. And you guys are probably emailing me or Edmodoing me right now and telling me that that one's wrong. So apologize. Told you guys I was doing it really fast. So whatever 5 times 22 square rooted is, that would be your correct answer. And I have, I put 9.22, so I'm not sure if, well, I don't know which answer is correct on there, but anyways, double check. Okay, so on the next one, you are just finding the measure of each central angle. So what you guys want to do here is just take the percent of the circle for sleeping and eating, and basically you just times it by 360. So hopefully everyone got that one correct. So sleeping right here, remember change the percent to a decimal, 0.33 times 360, and you end up with about 119. It's 118.8, but we're going to say 119. And for the eating one, here's eating, that's going to be a 0.08 times 360. So when you guys do that one, it should be about 29 degrees. Moving on. Remember, you can pause me. So slide. There we go. Number 3. You guys, you're finding the circumference, so remember for circumference, and you're leaving it in terms of pi. So circumference equals 2 pi r, or pi times diameter, either one. So when you guys are doing this, you're given the diameter in number 3, so pi times diameter, 5.7 times pi. The end, because they want it in terms of pi. Now for this one, they give you the radius, so circumference equals 2 pi times the radius 18, which ends up being 36 pi. That's it for that one. Number 5. The circumference of a circle is 60 pi. Find the diameter, the radius, and the length of 140. So you have 3 different pieces here. So be careful not to miss one of them. And I'll probably go into number 6. So I'm going to kind of draw a line here so that you guys know this is for number 5, all of this stuff. So for diameter, first set up your circumference formula. Circumference is pi times diameter. So fill in what you know. You know that the circumference is 60 pi. So 60 pi equals the diameter. Well, we don't know what that is. We're going to figure that out. And it's pi, because remember, you guys are doing circumference equals pi times diameter. Okay, circumference equals pi times diameter. Circumference happens to be 60 pi. The diameter we don't know, times pi, because you need the whole side of the formula. So now you solve for what you don't know. Divide by the pi's, they cancel out, and you are left with a diameter of 60. Now the radius is just half the diameter, so radius would be 30, 60 divided by 2, and the length of the arc, remember, is the measurement of the arc divided by 360, so the portion of the circle you're talking about, times in length, that's circumference, so that is 2 pi r, or pi times diameter, whichever. I'll just put 2 pi r. So you're going to simplify all this in your calculator, and you end up with, get my cheat sheet, 73.3, providing I didn't make a mistake on my calculator. And then on to number 6. Now number 6, the length is what we're looking for in terms of pi. So remember, that's the measure of the arc, that 90 degrees divided by 360, times, since we're looking for length, that is circumference, so 2 pi r. And then you end up with, this is in terms of pi, so we are not going to multiply the pi symbol. This simplifies to 1/4. And then you have 2 times 18, or I'm sorry, 2 times 8, so that's 16 pi. And 4 goes into 16 4 times, so your answer ends up being just a plain old 4 pi. And I did that by hand. You guys could pop everything into the calculator besides the pi button, and you would get the same thing for. On to the next slide, next page. Number 7, find the area, and you're leaving it in terms of pi. So area formula is pi r squared. So you would end up with the radius is 3.6 squared times pi. So when you do that, 3.6 squared is 12.96. So 12.96 pi. Okay? I'm going to try and go as fast as I can because I don't know how long my kids are going to watch the baby. So now this one, it says we have this deck surrounding the hot tub. The hot tub is a circle in the middle. The deck is like the slanted with the lines through it. What's the area of the deck? So we want the area of all this right here, not the area of the hot tub, and we're rounding to the nearest decimal. So basically the plan of action here is to take the area of the whole thing minus the area of the hot tub, and that equals the area of the deck. Okay, so area of the whole thing, we need the radius of the whole thing. So the radius of the whole thing, W for whole, equals, well, the whole thing is, the diameter is 5.4 plus 4.4, two of these, because you have 2.2 here and 2.2 here. So that's 4.4. So if you add that together and divide by 2, you get 4.9. So that's the radius of the whole thing. The radius of just the hot tub is 5.4 divided by 2. And I'm just doing this off to the side because we kind of need this information for the area formula. So now the area of the whole thing is pi 4.9 squared, pi r squared, minus the area of the hot tub, which is pi times the hot tub radius, 2.7 squared. And we're doing the nearest tenth, so we can put everything in the calculator, and hopefully, providing I typed it in right in my haste, you should get 52.5 meters squared. Alright, and we have a similar problem with the trapezoid, so now you got to remember the trapezoid formula. You're finding the area of the shaded portion. Dimensions are in feet. Leave your answer in terms of pi. So the plan of action in this example is going to be the area of the trapezoid minus the area of the circle equals the shaded area. So when you guys do this, area of the trapezoid formula is 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases. So when we do this, we would end up with, the height is 2 of the radii, so it's 8. So you end up with 1/2 times 8 times base 1, 8, this 8, plus base 2, 9, which is the bottom. And if you put that into the calculator, you end up with 68. And then for the area of the circle, that's pi r squared. And we're leaving it in terms of pi, and the radius is 4, so we get 4 squared times pi, or 16 squared. Or I'm sorry, 16 times pi, 4 squared. So when we do this, we end up with 68 minus 16 pi, and that is your final answer, and it would be in feet squared. Okay, moving on to the next page. Number 10 says find the area of the figure to the nearest tenth. So we're talking about, oh, let me grab the pen. We're talking about area, so now we have to use the area formula. So we take the portion of this sector that we're talking about, the portion of the circle, 105, divided by the whole circle, 360, times the area formula, pi r is 9 squared. We're doing to the nearest tenth, so we don't have to use pi. We can plug it all into the calculator, and you end up with 74.2. And that's in inches squared. Alright, number 11, find the area of the sector. Now that is like the piece of pizza, just like this. This is a sector here. This is a segment, just so you can tell the difference. The piece of pizza, the crust, that's the difference. The central angle is 180, the diameter is 5.6. So when you guys are doing this, you take the portion of the circle, 180, divided by 360. We're dealing with area, so we have to use the area formula, pi r squared. But they gave us the diameter, so the radius is equal to half of that. So 5.6 divided by 2 is 2.8. So now we plug that in. 2.8 squared times pi. And round to the nearest tenth, so we're going to plug all that into the calculator and hopefully get 12.3 centimeters squared. Okay, moving on to 12. 12 is a little bit, well, no, it's 13. That's a little bit longer. Okay, so 12, we want the area of the pizza, or the sector. Oh, I don't know how to spell pizza, apparently. Minus the area of the triangle gives you the area of the crust or the segment. Okay? So when we find the area of the sector, it's the same as what we did over here in that problem. So we do the section of the circle divided by 360 times the area formula, pi times 24 squared. And they want the exact area, so we're leaving it in terms of pi. And then minus the area of the triangle, which is 1/2, times the radius, 24 squared. Now remember, we're using that one formula. Technically, they really want us to cut this triangle in half. I'm just telling you because we're going to do that for the next one. So that this is 60 degrees right here, and that this is 30, and then your hypotenuse is 24. And then they want you to, instead of using the formula I'm going to show you here, they want you to do the whole, and it might be even easier this way. This would be 12 because it's, I'm sorry, not 12. This is, yeah, 12 root 3. And then the short leg is half the hypotenuse, so 12, 24. So they want you to do 1/2 base times height here. So technically, with exact, what you guys should do is, for this portion, just this part right here, that I'm about to finish, sine of the central angle, 120. That's the area of the triangle, but it's not exact because when you plug in the sine, we're going to have to round. So this circled portion, technically when it says exact, they want you to use the 30, 60, 90 stuff. So that blue stuff should, in a perfect world, but since it's multiple choice it won't really matter, should be 1/2 the base, which would be 24 root 3, because keep in mind you have a half of a triangle right here. You want the whole base, which would be 24 root 3 times the height, 12. So that would technically be, if you did 1/2 times 24 times 12, then you would have 144 root 3. So this blue stuff really should be 144 root 3. So just keep that in mind when you guys take your test for, when it says exact. Don't go freaking out if, it's a little bit off that way. So it would be 192 pi for this, when you simplified this portion right here, minus 144 root 3. And just so you guys understand, if you plugged this into the calculator and plugged this into the calculator, you would get the same decimal answer. But because they said exact, they don't want you to have to round it all. And having the terms pi and the root 3 allow you not to have to round any decimals. Okay? And this one's going to be a similar situation. So find the area of the shaded region. Leave your answer in terms of pi and simple radical form. I didn't mean to cross that out. Now, they were a little more specific when they said simple radical form here, so that you could know that they wanted the 30, 60, 90. So our plan of action for this one is area of the circle minus the area of the segment equals the area of the shaded. So the problem here is not really a problem, but the length of this problem is involved when we find the area of the segment, because we have to do what we did above. So over in this little corner, I'm going to do that. So the area of the segment, or the crust, is equal to the area of the whole piece of pizza, like this whole thing, including that non-shaded area. So I'm going to put area of pizza, just so we don't get confused with so many S words here, minus the area of the triangle, okay, this right here, okay, and that will give us the area of the segment, the non-shaded white part right there. So area of the pizza here is simply 60 divided by 360 times pi r squared. The area of the triangle, because they want it in simple radical form, we have to take this triangle, and I turned it, by the way. It's an equilateral triangle of 60, 60, 60, so it doesn't technically matter, but we have to cut it in half. So then we end up with 6 here. The height, because this angle now is 30, oh, and you can barely read that, because that angle is 30 degrees. The short leg is, when you guys are looking at this, well, it doesn't really matter, but if you cut it in half, that top angle right here is 30, and, oh, that isn't 6, this is 6. The, this is 12. Look, I'm totally screwing up my triangle here. Alright, let me do another triangle so we don't have craziness happening. Let me do it over here so I have a bigger triangle. When we cut our triangle, we have this situation. This becomes 30 degrees right here. This 12 is the radius, which remember is always the hypotenuse. So in this case, it's going to be this right here. Now keep in mind, here is the other half of the triangle that we cut. So down here is 60. So because this is the hypotenuse and this is the short leg, this is half the hypotenuse, 6. Oh, so I did have it right. I was just screwing myself up. And then we need the height because we have to do 1/2 base times height to get the simple radical form area of the triangle. So the height here is the short leg √3. So this is the short leg √3. That's the height of our triangle. The base is 12 because we have to account for the whole triangle right there. Okay, so minus. We do 1/2. The base is 12 times the height is 6√3. Okay, now keep in mind that's just for this. That's what we're working on. So we're going to simplify all of this as best that we can. So the area of the segment should end up being, after we simplify all of this stuff, we end up with 1/2 times the base 12 times the height 6√3. We simplify this and we get 6 there. So we get 36√3. And then we simplify this over here and we get 1/6 times 144 pi minus, now when I'm doing this I have to still simplify 144/6, which is 24, and looking at my answer key it looks like this right here is wrong in my answer key. I times by 2 instead of divided by 2. So see, I'm catching my own mistakes here. So this right here ends up being 24 pi minus 36√3. Now that is finally the area of the segment. So I'm going to just put this over here. 24 pi minus 36√3. And the area of the circle is easy, thankfully. Pi r squared. So that's 144 minus all of this. So, finally, we do area of the whole circle minus the area of the segment is the area of the circle, or the shaded part, I'm sorry. So we end up with, I'm going to go to a different color so we can see the difference in the answer. We end up with 144 pi minus 24 pi minus 36√3, and we are able to simplify these right here. So that ends up giving us, let me change colors one last time. Let's see, we'll go to like a purple. That gives us 120 pi minus 36√3. Holy cow, that was that problem. I needed more space for that. And, oh, it doesn't even look like I finished this problem on my sheet. I got so caught up in the other thing I thought I was done at that point. So good thing I'm doing this video. Alright, let's move on to the next thing. I'll have to post something on Edmodo. Okay. Let's see, how many problems? Maybe I should post this video and then, oh, I'll do this last slide and then I'll post this video and then finish it up so we can have a break between so it's not so long. Okay, so for number 14 it says angle P is 12. So I'm going to put a 12 here as soon as I grab the pencil. And we're looking for angle X, and because Q is tangent to the circle at the radius, it's 90. Remember that key thing, it has to be at a radius. We just have to do 180 minus 90 minus 12, and we end up with 78. Okay, moving on up to 15. That's one of those gear ones. So So remember you had to kind of draw a mini triangle, which gave you a rectangle at the top. Not that's a horrible triangle, sorry about that. But label what you know. You know that AB is 7. And you're told that DC is 5 and BC is 18. So that tells you that our little mini rectangle here, this is also 18 down here. This is 2 because if this side is 5 and this whole thing is 7 and this is a rectangle, opposite sides are congruent, that leaves 2 for right here. So we are going to use Pythagorean theorem to do 18 squared plus 2 squared equals this segment squared, AD. So if you do that, you end up with 4 and 324. Square root that, and you get what we're looking for, AD, which is 18.1. Alright, so I'm going to post this, and then I will make one for 16 to the end.